Hey, this is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I'm here with Kubrick. Kubrick Katrina.
Okay.
That was hard to say.
Yeah, it was.
And then we've got here's Johnny Joel.
Hey guys, what's up?
Yeah. So we are here to discuss The Shining. Finally.
Shining. Yeah.
And this is dedicated to what's her name?
Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall. Recently passed away. So we thought we would do this episode of her probably most famous movie, The Shining.
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe the most famous.
So Joel, can you tell us who's a part of it?
I think I might. So this one stars Jack Nicholson. I'm naming his like horror movies because everyone knows who Jack Nicholson is. And he was in The Witches of Eastwick, which was a horror like comedy kind of thing. The Raven, which was a 1963 horror movie.
Oh wow.
And Mars Attacks. It's not horror, but it's it's he doesn't really have a whole lot of horror to his filmography, so that's just a fun movie.
Which is interesting because he is such a creepy character, like in general.
Yeah.
And he did like fabulous in this. I think he's so well known for this that you would have thought that he would have kind of made it to the horror community more.
Yeah. This is his biggest biggest horror movie.
Yeah,
obviously. But also probably one of his biggest movies he's done.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that he hasn't done more because he's got looks.
Yeah.
in his movies that is like are like terrifying. But he decided to go like the romantic comedy route for a while, which is weird.
Yeah.
And then we've got Shelley Duvall. She was in Annie Hall, which was a Woody Allen movie. Popeye, which came out the same year as The Shining. Yeah. So that was a pretty big year for her.
Yeah.
And Portrait of a Lady.
Okay.
And then we got Scatman Crothers. I was gonna put the son, Danny Lloyd. But he has only done 2 other things, and he's currently a biology professor. So,
interesting.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
So I chose. There's only like 4 characters in this entire movie. So so Scatman Crothers has like over 100 movies to his name.
And is he the other one who?
He's the black. Yeah, he's the other. Yeah, he was in 65 episodes of Chico and the Man. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which was also Jack Nicholson.
Also Jack Nicholson, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
33 episodes of the Transformers. Apparently there was a show back in the 80s, and he was also in the Transformers movie, the 1980, the original movie. So he's done some Transformers work.
Was he in Doctor Strange too?
Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep.
Oh no, that was a different. Yeah.
Okay.
That was a different actor for that one.
Because I thought he would have been pretty old.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they got a different. They got someone that's also was pretty. I remember him from several things too. But this was written by Diane Johnson. She did the screenplay. So she has one other thing to her name, which is a novel called The Divorce, which was made into a movie starring Naomi Watts and Kate Hudson.
Oh, okay.
So she's a novelist, but she did the screenplay for this movie, which is
okay.
And then we've got Stanley Kubrick did the screenplay. He did the screenplay for 2001: A Space Odyssey, A Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, and Eyes Wide Shut. And this was also directed by him, and he did the same as written. So he writes what he directs. So
Yeah.
Okay. So, but it's also a Stephen King book.
it is a Stephen King book. Yeah.
So when you say this, the screenplay that they wrote, the screenplay, does that mean that they like got rights to the story from Stephen King and then just like altered it based off the book?
Yeah, so the screenplay is for the movie itself. It's and so yeah, I think they do have to get approval from the writer, but a lot of the times, as long as the writer gets paid, they don't really care.
Okay.
But in this case, there was a big thing with Stephen King, how he hated this movie.
That's what I was thinking.
Because it just completely took his story and made it something completely different, which makes me want to read the book. Like,
yeah,
I want to see like what differences the book has from.
That's the thing. That's what I've always been interested in, because the book is huge.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing how much he like really did not like how the story was written.
Yeah. And they actually do have like it was a made for TV movie of The Shining.
Oh yeah.
That actually did. It was basically like the book's adaptation.
Oh.
But it didn't do very well. So I don't know if that has anything to do with the writing of that, or if like the story itself that Stephen King wrote isn't as good as this Shining movie. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder, did that come out after this movie?
Yeah, it did.
So I wonder if it was more so that it was so different from the movie that it just wasn't appreciated.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because it came out like in the 90s, I think. So it was like this movie's legacy had already been established, you know, as The Shining. So not really going to live up to that.
Yeah, kind of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where the second movie was more based off the book, but the first movie was just so established that it was like, I don't care how much more that goes off the book.
Right.
This,
that's a good comparison. Okay, so we have a family. A family heads to an isolated hotel for the winter, where a sinister presence influences the father into violence.
Oh man!
Wow, his psychic son sees horrific forebodings from both past and future. There you go.
Okay.
And so this one is pretty well known. So let's see what the critics and the audience says about it.
Yeah. So Rotten Tomatoes we'll start with. It is fresh. It only has 107 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. I thought it'd have more than that.
IMDb has a lot more.
Yeah, for the that's for the critics.
Yeah.
And it gets an 83% with the critics. Which is pretty high for Rotten Tomatoes.
I thought it'd be higher.
Yeah.
Especially for critics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the audience score is higher.
Oh, okay.
So this time the audience is higher than critics. And there's over 250,000 reviews from audience score. And that one's at a 93%.
Okay.
Wow.
So pretty big difference there. IMDb for a horror movie, very high score. It's at 8.4.
Okay.
How many reviews? Because when I looked, there was over 1 million.
Yep, there's over 1 million.
Yeah.
1,117,849.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. A lot of
I didn't know there were
very,
any movies that had that much.
Yeah. Very, very popular movie.
So that score is not ever going anywhere. Like it's solidified at 8.4.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the Google rating is at 4.3 out of 5.
Okay.
So a very, very liked movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So
now another thing I noticed that I thought was interesting before we move on from this segment. I thought it was interesting that of the 3 like main characters, Jack, played by Jack Nicholson, was the same name as his actor, and then Danny, played by Danny Lloyd, was the same name.
Yeah, interesting.
And so I'm like, Wendy's the only one who got a different name, and I kept thinking, like, why is her name Wendy and not Shelley?
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting.
Jack,
I wonder if it just happened to work out like that. Like, in the book, is the character's name Jack and Danny, and then they just happened to get actors that were the same name.
I know Jack Nicholson
was in the book. And okay, we want Shelley in
the book.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson has played a character named Jack like several times in his career. So, I mean, it is a very like common like movie name.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is pretty funny that his name and Danny's name is the same.
Yeah, it does look like. I'm not sure. I think that it is. Those are the names from the book.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you look at that like phrase, that he types out on the typewriter.
Yeah.
Like that has to be in the book, right? And his name is that. It is in that phrase. So
yeah.
That's like such an iconic phrase.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like we said, Stephen King book, movies from 1980, I believe.
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick is pretty well known for his films to have a lot of meaning behind them and a lot of like interesting aspects to it. And so I think this one is no exception to that. It has a lot of music. A lot of tension building music.
Mm-hmm. Lots of trumpets. I was kind of surprised by.
A lot of trumpets and strings. And I've seen it probably 3-4 times, I think, in my life. And I never noticed the music as much as this last time watching it. It's like all throughout the movie. It's got this like atmosphere building music.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of those scenes actually wouldn't be creepy at all without the music. Mm-hmm. The music really makes it like something else.
Makes it intense.
Yeah.
Where it would just be her like looking around in the thing.
It's just
like him like walking into the 237. Well, I guess we shouldn't do spoilers, huh?
No, we're gonna stay away from spoilers for now.
I don't know if that was a spoiler.
I mean, there's a 237.
There's even a documentary called Room 237 about this movie. So
I think at this point, if you're watching a review on The Shining, I think you've probably seen it at this point. But
I mean, over 1 million people reviewed it on IMDb. So pretty sure everyone's watched it at this point.
Maybe. Maybe not. So we want to, we want to make sure that people with Patreon got something special here. But the music was definitely something that stood out to me, especially this watch. And I feel like the music and then also the images are like what makes this movie creepy and scary. you know, what makes it a horror movie. And then of course Jack Nicholson and his acting, and all that. But until he really goes crazy, it's really the music and the images, like the flashing images and the, you know, just the Shining itself, is what kind of makes it scary. And I remember thinking it was a slow movie the first couple of times I watched it. And I mean, I guess I would still consider it like a slower movie, but the horror is pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's this, there's so much story in the movie, so many pieces.
Yeah.
That I don't even know that it's like slow necessarily, because it doesn't take a long time to like start getting into the story.
Yeah.
It's more so just not super action filled.
Yeah. But the horror's right there. Especially with the music building and all that.
Yeah. And I mean, he tells about the history of the hotel, which is like, it doesn't show the images, but the story of it is horror right there. And then right away, Danny starts having those Shining moments. And so that adds the horror. So it's pretty quick. Yeah. In the movie.
Yeah.
What else, guys?
No, I would agree with that. I think what makes the movie appear slower is like the opening scene is basically at a job interview, and it takes about 20 minutes or so to actually get to the hotel itself. But this movie is like a 2.5 hour movie, so you still have a lot of time to like, you know, to build off of that. And we don't really find out about The Shining itself until a little further into that as well. So it's just, and also, there's music throughout the entire movie, but during those like opening shots, it's very quiet.
Yeah.
Until they're driving to the hotel, then you get like the trumpet sound, and and that's when it's just like that throws me off guard like every time, because I'm not used to trumpet sounds in movies. It's just not something that's normally used. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think it is a pretty well paced movie. It takes some time to get to the hotel, but once you're there, it's a slow burn in the sense that over time, the hotel like gets to Jack's character. And which honestly though, his character throughout, like even in the beginning, seems pretty like very serious and just had a scowl on his face, like even before the hotel took him over. So it's like, okay, it took him over, but like if he was more like jolly, if he was like a more happy character, that transition would have meant more. I think. It just sort of happened. Like,
and I think that's also like a really valuable or cool part about it is like, you were like, okay, is this the hotel or is this just him? You know, it left you kind of uneasy of at what point is he being kind of taken over. It's not really clear, you know. It's not really, I mean, until it gets like super clear, it's not clear, you know. And I like that, because even at the very beginning, like I never really valued or I guess I never really paid attention to the whole story before. Like how Shelley or Wendy tells about their relationship early on, I didn't ever really realize. I just never, I guess, paid attention or remembered that part of the story.
Yeah.
And so he was already you were already kind of like, okay, maybe he's not the best husband. Maybe he's not the best dad, and he's kind of grumpy. He's recovering alcoholic. Like he's definitely dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
And
he bruised Danny at some point when he was younger, and like
he dislocated his arm.
Oh yeah, dislocated his arm.
Yeah. And so it was like, okay, that gave some more depth to his character, where we were like, okay, we could see how he could get taken over and change the way he did.
Yeah, he already had like that side to him.
Yeah,
he was already an aggressive character.
Yeah,
and he had the drinking problem.
Yeah, and that makes sense why like Wendy didn't like suspect something when he was like acting all ridiculous,
at first
it wasn't like she was like, what's going on with you? She just was like, oh man, he's grumpy again, and like leaving him alone.
Let him work.
Because he was really mean to her.
So something else about this movie that is, I don't know if movies back and at this time were doing this, but there's a lot of like one shot scenes where the camera just kind of follows the character. And it's not like edits or different camera angles or whatever. It's just you're following the character throughout the hotel as they're walking or through the big rooms and stuff. And so I thought that was pretty cool. The scenery of the hotel is awesome. We have the background here of the carpet design, which is super memorable. The colors, like room 237, the colors in that room were really vibrant and cool. Same with the carpet design. The colors in the bathroom at one point are, pretty cool.
The gold room.
The gold room, the way that looked. The maze. There's just all kinds of stuff in the scenery that is like super memorable for this movie. So, thought that was a good touch to it. The Shining itself, like, I feel like it's definitely part of the movie, but I feel like it's not the like main focus of the movie. The main focus is more so the hotel, and how it's haunted or whatever it is, and how it takes over Jack.
And I wonder if that's part of.
But
I think you're about to say the exact same thing I was going to say.
I think that might be a part of what's so different from this movie than the actual original story, because the book is called The Shining.
Exactly.
And so if I don't know, you can write a lot more in a book than you can show in a movie. So like, I really want to watch or read that book now.
Me too.
It's just because I feel like that's a huge part of the story. Whereas it's a kind of it is a part of the movie. So
it's definitely more a part of Dr. Sleep.
It is.
Way more of it in that.
And so this is what I'm thinking. I'm really wondering if that is why Stephen King didn't like this movie as much. And what makes me wonder is, did they not, when they read the book, did they not completely understand the whole Shining concept? And that's why they kind of shied away from it. They said it a little bit, tried to give as much of a like visual to it as they could, but maybe they didn't quite understand where Stephen King was going with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how it would be as if they would have like kind of consulted with him and been like, hey, help us out with how would you put this concept into a movie as like what would your vision be kind of for that?
I mean, myself, I like that The Shining wasn't a big part of it. Because I like the more haunted hotel, psycho father stuff. I like that stuff more. The Shining, they added into basically for the images, for like that scary stuff. And Danny and how he talks and all that, which was creepy, and the whole red rum thing and all that. So it definitely is important to the movie. But I think you're right. It's probably a bigger part of the book than what it was shown in the film. So, so as far as negatives for me, I think Shelley or Wendy, she's probably negative. I think. It's a little overacted.
This is in honor of her.
I know.
I know.
And I know that there's a history to the like amount that she went through making this film. I think it is documented that she was like pushed so much to get these emotions out, and doing that scene with the axe to the door over and over and over and over, and just really like breaking her down emotionally to get the scenes that they wanted.
There's a scene that was done, I think, over 100 times with her to get it right. And I heard that this movie actually like emotionally damaged her throughout like her entire life. So we're doing this in memoriam of you. Sorry.
Man.
Yeah, I just
the best movie to do that.
She was just hysterical so much. And like just too much.
Was it hard for her to get that emotion? Is that what you're saying? Is why they had to do that scene over and over? Or
I don't remember. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I watched a documentary on it. I think there was another documentary besides the Room 239.
237.
237. Sorry. I know. That explained like basically everything that they were just like they were really like treated her like really bad in the making of this movie. That it kind of like broke her for her like entire life. So
and you can see it on her, like she's just struggling, and I don't know, it was just too much to me. And maybe it's just like, man, it's beyond the movie, like what she was going through was beyond the scene. It was like, I don't know, it was too much for me. And Jack Nicholson, while he kills it in a lot of the movie, I think sometimes it's a little much when it's like, okay, this is just a regular scene. Like you don't have to be this way the whole time.
But I think that's
like
just who he is. Like that's him on a ring.
just regular saying lines.
Jack.
I feel like it was just a little much. Like, okay, we get it. You're already kind of a aggressive person, but some of it I just didn't buy, I guess. And it was like, it just felt like acting. While most of it was like, really, really good. Some of it I was like, okay, you can tame it down a little bit, or like it doesn't have to show up in this scene too. It's not necessary.
So there was an interview with her and Roger Ebert in 1980 that she says that the role required her to cry 12 hours a day 5 or 6 days a week for 9 months straight, going through day after day of excruciating work, and how there was one scene that they had to do 127 times to get it right. So it's Stanley Kubrick has been known to be like a very like perfectionist director and needs every scene to be absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
That, this isn't a Marine training camp. You can't it's not supposed to be like that excruciating to it's just
So it's interesting because I don't even feel like I remember her crying that much in the film.
Mm-hmm. Like the last 45 minutes, half hour, she was, very emotional. But that's
while your husband's trying to kill you, and
it didn't seem. I didn't think she seemed like overly hysterical. I mean, like it was a pretty justified reaction to what was going on. Like, I feel like I may have been even more hysterical if I were her.
I don't know.
And she has to protect her son, and she doesn't know where he is, and like
I don't know what it was. Something about her voice, maybe, or maybe the character acting, like hit him with the bat, or
I love that.
She's just like backing up and doing this. I'm like, when is she gonna hit him? Like, actually hit him?
Because but
she's probably terrified.
And she's like, I think about it as like, I really see her as like an abused wife.
Yeah.
And the way he speaks to her and everything.
Yeah.
She is used to this crazy side of him. And she's seen this side of him come out that she hasn't seen for 5 months because he hasn't been drinking, and he's been much better since he hasn't been drinking. But you can tell that she's still like on edge every time she goes to talk to him.
Yeah.
Even before the hotel took him over. Yeah. The one part where I feel like it was like a little much was when she's flipping through the pages when he wrote the one line, and she's like,
like, I don't think you need to keep going through it.
And it's like, okay, you saw that that's what he's been writing. Like, you're like really freaking out about this,
What's on the next page? Oh my god, just on the next page. What's on the next page?
Yeah. I think that was the one time that I was like, wow, she is a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't see what you're saying there with the other parts. I feel like
I don't know.
Her reaction was very justified.
Maybe it was realistic, but I just didn't like it.
Well, yeah, who likes seeing a woman? And I think part of it is she wasn't like a damsel in distress. She's like, she's already like a very, I don't want to say typical looking person, because she's kind of an interesting looking person. But she's not like this, like the typical,
final girl, like look.
Yeah, big breasts, like I don't know, Pamela Anderson type look of like running naked, like she's like just a basic person. Yeah. She's just like a basic wife that, so you're seeing like this, just like any person, every, it could be anyone that is being treated that way. And that makes it more personal. So then it's like, ooh, I don't like seeing her being
treated that's
like
what
this.
It is.
And
it's not entertaining.
And maybe it was so real for her because she was in distress so much that it felt just that real that it was uncomfortable to watch. I don't know.
She better got paid pretty good for this one.
Yeah, I don't
know. It makes me think of like the Heath Ledger with the Joker.
Yeah.
How into that character he got and how much that affected him after.
Yeah, I don't know if that was forced on him though.
No,
but
that acting was so, for me, it was so good, but so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So uncomfortable. Like it was way too real that,
well, with that, he probably heard all the doubters like saying that he's a romantic comedy guy. He's not going to be able to do this. And so he's trying to he's trying to maybe overdo
prove himself.
To show people that he can do it. And he did it.
He freaking did it, dude.
Yeah, I remember that casting choice was kind of weird when I heard about it. I was like, really? The Joker? Heath Ledger? Huh. Okay, well, back to The Shining. So,
hey, Jack Nicholson played the Joker. So.
Do you guys have any? That's true, he did. Do you guys have any negatives that you would say for this?
So I remember the very first time I watched this movie, my dad rented it, and I don't remember if he had seen it before, but I remember being excited about it because it was people were saying it's like the scariest movie that they've ever seen. And so I was like expecting like this like really scary movie, and it really wasn't that, like not as scary as what was in my head for like, what people were saying it was going to be scary. So it was kind of a letdown for me the first time. It definitely grew on me over the years, and I've seen this movie a handful of times. I don't remember exactly, but yeah. So those moments that may have been like a disappointment or whatever, I think maybe like the slower parts of it, because I was a teenager, early teen when I watched it. So, but those scenes, they definitely add to the movie. Watching it again from later on, like I watched it a couple days ago for this, and I absolutely love this movie. I wouldn't say there's really a negative part to it. How it ends, I'm not going to get into that right now because we'll talk about it in the spoilers. But how the movie decides to end, I think is probably the biggest negative, because it to me treats the movie like it's something bigger than it is.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that. Like I don't know exactly where they were trying to go with it, but to me it didn't work.
Necessary.
It wasn't necessary, and that's probably the main part that I didn't like about this movie.
Yeah,
I could see that too. I don't know how much I liked it.
I am gonna agree like 100% with everything Joel said, because I too, like when I first watched the movie, I feel like the negatives would have been those like slower parts and like all the things that I really appreciate about it now, I feel like would have been my negatives back when I first watched it. But watching it again and like watching it again, I don't know, a few years ago, I feel like I appreciated it more, but then just watching it like today, I appreciated it like even more, like way more. I was like, wow, this is a really good movie. And it made me want to just go ahead and watch it like again right away. I'm like, I could just restart it and just watch it again. It's so good. There's so many little things to catch that this is such a rewatchable movie. It's got so many that it makes it really fun too. And yes, the ending, that's the only thing. It's like, I almost feel like it was put in there almost as if there was like an intention to continue the movie going. Like did they have plans or hopes to make additional movies?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it kind of like threw you off from, okay, what are you actually trying to say here then?
Yeah.
You know?
What's the point of this?
Yeah. And so that would definitely, if I was to find a negative, that would definitely be a possibility for a negative. And I don't even want to say it is a negative. It's just, if I'm looking for a negative, that would be something that I'd be like, well, that was the one thing that was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And was that necessary?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't know how much I liked it. I want to watch the documentary. I think there's multiple documentaries about this movie. Just like kind of pointing out all the little nuances and the history, of the actual filming process, and to see if there's any sort of explanation maybe about that ending. Like maybe if I had an explanation that I liked, then it would be okay. But I don't know that I like an explanation that I can come up with. If someone can convince me of something that I missed and how that makes sense or what it's trying to do, then maybe I'll like it.
But. Yeah, because I have a few different like thoughts, and so I'm just
we'll talk about
it'll be a good thing to talk about.
So for having this movie such a straightforward kind of like haunted house type of movie, and then throw that in there, it's like, okay, well, it's not a straightforward movie anymore because of like one thing. It's like, what? I just,
which could be kind of slick too, because it almost makes you want to watch it again. Like, wait, what did I miss? And how can we make this piece fit in? So I did find one fun fact that, because I was thinking like, well, one, I was kind of just trying to look up what the characters' names were in the book versus the movie and stuff. But then I saw all these other questions that have been asked about the movie. And so one of the questions was, why does Jack say, "Here's Johnny"? And it's a reference to the Johnny Carson show. But then it goes on to explain that during that scene, they originally had shot it with like a fake door, but because Jack Nicholson had done fire marshal training, he chopped the door down too quickly.
Oh wow!
So they had to get like a real door for that.
That's funny. He was going to town on that door.
So using a fake door, it just went right down.
Crumbled.
So I thought that was kind of fun, and like to think of if Jack Nicholson would have gone into the fire marshal instead.
To the acting,
Okay, so let's go ahead and rate it, and then we will get into spoilers. Let's start with you, Katrina.
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm like, I'm just in a good mood with my rating, I guess, lately.
Yeah, we've been doing some good ones.
Really good. And because I don't really have any negatives to say, and because it is such a classic, and every time I watch it, it just gets better, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a 95.
Okay. I'm gonna go 92.
Okay. Joel?
Neither of you took my number, 93.
Oh, I almost said 93, but I did 93 when we reviewed Oddity. So I just gave that away. Whoops. And I was kind of trying to compare, like, why did I do that? But I'm like, this is such a classic. I feel like I need to put it up higher than that movie.
It does have the timelessness of it.
Yeah. And I was trying to think of what did I rate The Birds, because The Birds will always be one of my all-time favorite classics. I don't remember what I rated it though, so I couldn't compare it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember either.
I hope I gave it more than a 95.
A 37.
Oh, you would say above this? Above The Shining?
Yeah, because it's like one of my all-time... Like, I would always count The Birds as like one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah. That's probably the movie. That and It has stuck with you the most throughout your life.
Yeah. They affected my life to the core.
All right. Cool. So high scores on this one. I don't think that's a big surprise. It's The Shining. So, and I don't know, like, I can't remember when we did it, but it was years back. We did an episode with Cody Leach, top 5 80s horror films.
Yeah.
And I remember this was my number 1 when we did that. So go back to listen to that one. All 3 of us did that with him.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. There's no video, it's just audio. So
yeah,
you'll find that and you can hear our top 5, which will probably change now for me, I think, if I
I wanna go see what ours were and then like do another updated one.
Because none of us had seen Christine, I don't think, at that point.
Oh, I had it on my list.
Oh yeah, you had. Okay.
Yeah. That would have Cody and I both had Christine on our list.
Yeah. That would have been on my list if I had watched it before.
Yeah. We have to have Cody on again.
Yeah.
We gotta get him on video.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk about spoilers. Go over to patreon.com/scaretalk if you are not already there watching. And if you're not a member, you want to sign up for 7 days for free. Check out all the stuff we have on there, all the spoilers and the exclusive episodes. We have put Fallen on Patreon recently, and you'll want to let us know if there's anything you want us to review that is like a one-off, not a franchise film. We do the franchises for everybody, so if there's a one-off that you want to have us review, then let us know and we will get to it. But for now, that's the end of this portion, spoiler free, of The Shining.
Man, it's been scary.
It's been scary. Let's get scary.
All right. Let's do it.
See you guys.
All right. Oh, yeah. I'm supposed to say, let's get scary.
Yeah.
Okay.